Hello. Welcome to Jewish American Priestess reads the Hebrunes. Today our reading commemorates the 17th of Tammuz, which is observed today. It actually began yesterday, but because yesterday was Shabbat, we do not observe a fast on Shabbat. 17th of Tammuz is a day of fasting and mourning because we are remembering the date that the city of Jerusalem, the walls were breached and the city was sieged by the Babylonians before the destruction of the first and second temples. In history, there are said to be many events that occurred on the 17th of Tammuz, for which we are mourning, including the date in 1313 BCE when Moses broke the tablets because of the golden calf. So we're going to do a reading today, and it's going to be about the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem, but we're going to bring it into our modern situation. What in your life represents a city of peace that the walls are being breached right now? It could be something personal, it could be something political. And what can we do? What can we see that is coming out of this breach of our peaceful city? I'm going to put down some of these Hebrunes and we're going to see what kind of reading we have today around that. Dalet. Tet. Mem. Gimel. Rish. Hey. Het. And one more. Aleph. Okay. So what I'm seeing here is that our central issue is the tile for Dalet. And Dalet is the doorway. It is a gate. It is what's opening for us right now. Maybe some of the gates of Jerusalem, maybe the gates of the city of peace. It's also seen as a door to spirit. And it's the first letter of the name of David Melech, which is King David, who was said to be a very humble person. He came from humble beginnings, for sure. He was a shepherd. And he was humble to God even after he became king. But Dalet also is the foundation letter in the Sefer Yetzirah of wisdom and foolishness. So we have a decision to make here about what our role will be with regards to this temple, the walls being breached. wisdom or foolishness. Coming up in the past here is the letter Tet. And Tet is a letter that's representing of a vessel of some kind. It can be seen as a cup, or as a vat, or it could be seen as a womb. It is the number 9. It's the 9th letter in the alphabet. So it represents a womb in terms of it being 9 months of gestation for the human. And so we're coming into a place where this is the past, the recent past. Recently we've had some kind of gestation, some kind of vessel that's been holding us. And now we're in this doorway place where we have maybe a choice to go, either what can serve us in this realm is the letter Mem, and the letter Mem is one of the mother letters. It represents water, Maim Chaim, which means waters of life. It is the central letter in the Hebrew alphabet. It's the 13th letter. And it does represent waters of life, similar to how Dalet represents wisdom, Mem represents life, but also it represents water of life, but also it is the number 40, and it represents 40 weeks of gestation. So we have a 9 here, and 9 months, and also 40 weeks of gestation. They're both vessels. Tet and Mem are both containers. And so what could help us in this breach of our city of peace is cleansing ourselves in the waters, understanding that things are happening in terms of gestation, that maybe there's a waiting time that needs to happen here. It also represents the belly and the body. So maybe feeling into our watery selves, maybe our emotional selves. On the lower line, we have the letter Gimel, and this position represents what won't help us in our current state. Gimel is the third letter of the alphabet. It is one of our double letters, and Gimel is a movement letter. It's supposed to represent a foot or a camel, and so I'm guessing on the basis of that, on the bottom line here, possibly what won't help is running away. What won't help is leaving the situation. We need to stay and remain where we are. It is the foundation of peace and evil. So what could be useful is staying, turning away from evil and embracing peace, embracing wholeness of shalom, which is the same root as Yerushalayim, the city of peace. So let's not run away from what's going on. Let's stay here with it. Coming up in the near future, we have the letter Resh. Resh is, it stands for Rosh, which is head. It stands for the beginning of a thing, like Rosh Chodesh or Rosh Hashanah, which is coming up. This is the 17th of Tammuz is sort of the beginning of this mourning period that happens before we head into the new year. So we have head. We have this coming up, this beginning of something, the beginning of the new year, certainly. And Resh is in the foundations is a seed or barrenness. So interestingly, we've got seed here and a gestation letter here and another gestation letter there. So coming up, we have some more seeds, some more beginnings about to begin here. And what will assist us in these beginnings, first we have the letter He up above, and He is the number 5 in the alphabet. It is the first letter of the word Chai. This is the first letter word Hineni, which means presence. It means remaining present, being able and willing to answer when the divine calls. I am here. That's what Hineni means. When the divine calls on Abraham, he answers Hineni. And when the divine calls on Moshe, he answers Hineni. And when the divine calls on us, ideally, we answer Hineni. And it's this idea of being present and being available for service, being available to the divine and what is asked of us. And that's what will assist us in this time of mourning and difficulty. And what won't help us in this time, we have on the lower line, the letter Chet. Chet is the first letter of the word Chai, which means life. And it also stands for infinity, because it is the 8th letter, and 8 is 1 more than 7, meaning that the world was created in 7 days, so 1 more than that would be infinity. And on its side, of course, an 8 looks like an infinity symbol. So what's not going to help us in this situation is coming to understand that breach of whatever is our city of peace right now is not an infinite situation. It is temporary. It is what's happening right now, but it will not always be this way. Chet also is representative of the word choshech, which means darkness, because the first time that Chet appears in the Torah is in the word choshech, darkness. So we're gonna not follow darkness. Instead, we're going to understand that through this new beginning, we have to remain present and open to the divine and answer that call, Hineni, when it is time for us to move forward again. And the outcome I have in this reading is the letter Aleph, which is the beginning. It is the first letter. It is the first mother letter. It is the letter that represents the beginning of all things. It represents the heaven above and earth below, and the divine between. We have this connection of the letter Vav, which means and, with a yud above and a yud below. And so it represents that coming together of the heavens and the earth, of the divine and of the human. It is also the first letter, but paradoxically, the word Aleph or the word Aleph means 1,000. So it is both one and many. It is like the multiplicity of the divine coming together into oneness. And it is unity. It's the plurality that becomes unity. That echad, that we say in the Shema, Adonai echad. The divine is one. Creation is one. And it is also about breath. Breath in the body, the chest in the body, and the air in the world. So that seems apt right now, that when we are in this situation where a doorway is opening and we're going to rely on the water to cleanse ourselves and to give us space for gestation. We're not going to run from our situation. We're going to understand that we have a new beginning coming soon in the Rosh Hashanah, the Rosh Chodesh, which is coming in 2 weeks, and the Rosh Hashanah, which is coming in a month and a half. We're going to remain present. We're going to say, here we are. This is what's happening. Accept the reality of the situation and release darkness, release the belief that this will last forever. And out of all of this, we'll come back to oneness. Come back to the oneness of the divine, the oneness of ourselves, and come to understand that all of this, the darkness, the light, the breaching of the walls, and the temple itself, is all one. And that is our reading for the 17th of Tammuz, 5782. Also the 17th of July, 2022. I wish everyone an easy fast today. It is only from sunrise to sunset, but it is a long day in the middle of the summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. So may you have an easy fast. Mourn what needs to be mourned, and return to the one.